Hello English 100 students. In this video I'm going to be going over the autoethnography assignment sheet. This assignment sheet is to be used for both the rough draft and for the final draft. The due date that's shown here is actually for the final draft, so you'll want to consult Canvas for your due dates on the rough draft. For this assignment, you're going to be writing what is called autoethnography, and this is a newer kind of research method that combines autobiography and ethnography. And it's a way for researchers to use their own experiences to understand a broader cultural or social or political context. So the word autoethnography comes from auto, which means refers to the self, and ethno, which refers to culture, and then graphy, which refers to writing. So essentially, you're going to be writing about this intersection between your own experiences and how they help you understand a broader cultural experience. This writing is very personal in nature. So you're going to be writing a story about yourself. So you'll be doing a little bit of narrative. Then you're going to be analyzing that experience and the ways that it intersects with a cultural experience or group. So there'll be some research involved in synthesizing that research into commentary on your own experience. And then there's also reflection. So this is looking at and thinking about your own experiences and reflecting on how they relate to larger social issues. So this assignment actually combines several kinds of writing. So I think it's a really exciting way to explore how you bring the different kinds of writing that you've practiced and your different experiences into this one assignment here at the end. So I hope that you find an experience to write about that's really interesting to you so that you can do some research and find a little bit more about others who may have shared those experiences or a cultural group that this applies to. This assignment really should be very personal, very interesting to you, and it should result in you learning something not only about yourself but also about the broader culture. So in the assignment sheet, we're really just going to be asking you to pursue this purpose of choosing a narrative from your life, compare your narrative to that cultural group or that you belong to, and how that your own experience is sort of qualitative evidence to support an argument about that group. This might be confusing, so I'm going to give an example. Let's say a student is an international student who is attending school in the US. They might tell a story about a personal challenge or experience that they had as an international student, and then they might reflect on the broader issues of, say, cultural adaptation or identity, and then they might do some research about how other students have handled those issues of cultural adaptation, or they might look at research that maybe another person's autoethnography about that situation, and they might pull those things into conversation with their own experience. Let's use a less exciting, maybe more funny example. I really like baking sourdough bread, and like most people, this sort of happened to me during the COVID-19 pandemic when we were all sort of trying to figure out what we're going to do for hobbies. So maybe I want to write a story about my experience baking and becoming part of this culture of people who do all of this baking of sourdough, and some experience I had with a recipe that didn't go well, or the reverse, maybe something that really went well, and how I felt about that. And then I might do some research about hobbies that people picked up during the pandemic, or how people became interested in sourdough, what this cultural phenomenon was, and why did it coincide with the COVID-19 pandemic. So I might figure out how my experience gives commentary about a social issue. So it can be as serious as you want, or just as, something that's a hobby. It can be whatever is interesting to you. You will, however, need to write it in an academic way. So that means you're still going to need an introduction and a conclusion and body paragraphs. And you're still going to need a thesis that tells the reader, what's the experience you're going to be talking about? How does it pertain, and what's your position on how it pertains to a broader issue? You will need to synthesize your narrative with information about your chosen cultural group and that research that you do that helps you understand the intersection between your experience and that cultural group experience. So this section of the assignment sheet really goes into all of these things in greater detail, so please do read through this. But what I really want to draw your attention to is this section, the audience, the context, and the format, which is, yeah, as you know from doing assignments in this class, a really important part of how we frame our writing. So the audience for this assignment is academic and scholarly. That means we're going to really want to use a more academic tone. So you're going to want to eliminate things like contractions or figures of speech. So we want to eliminate those things and take on a more academic tone. There is one exception. You will be using first person pronouns in this essay. So when you'll be using I, me, and my when you're writing the narrative portion because you're talking about your own experience. In academic writing, you won't always be doing that, but in this assignment, you do need to do that. You can also use slang or jargon as needed to describe what's going on in a dialogue or in your cultural group that you've chosen. But you do want to make sure that you're synthesizing academic information into that narrative as well. The context and rhetorical situation is that this is sort of your chance to use your experience as qualitative data. So you're giving an experience and helping it apply to this broader thing. But one of the things that you really need to do is research. So you're going to have to bring in another source that helps you talk about this thing. Academics expect analysis. They expect you to bring in academic investigation into this narrative about yourself. So do be sure that you find a source that helps you talk about this in a more academic way. For example, you have to use 3 sources, and one of those does have to be from a scholarly peer-reviewed journal or book that investigates your chosen cultural group. So you could use 2 other sources that are maybe not scholarly peer-reviewed. You'd still want them to be reputable, so please do pay attention on, say, a website, what the purpose of that website is, who's writing that website. Make sure that you're choosing sources that are going to be reliable, even if you're not choosing something from the library. If you need help with the library and navigating how to find what you need, we do have resources for you both in this Canvas course for English 100 and on this assignment sheet. A little statement about AI. A narrative, like that first assignment we did in Module 2, is about your own experience and your own life. So you cannot ask AI to write this essay for you. You can't use it to annotate when you're reading. You cannot use it to draft any portion of your assignment, and nothing that you turn in should be copy pasted from sources or AI. We want to see your original work. However, you could use AI to help you as you're reading, to help summarize and help you understand a section that may be difficult in your article. You may also use it to help you edit your work at the end, but you should not include any quotes from AI in your submitted draft. As usual, there's a detailed checklist to help you along the way as you're starting to do this assignment. You do not have to do it in this order or according to these exact numbered steps, but this is here to support you as you develop this essay. Moving down, you will find assistance. So if you do need to ask for help from a writing tutor, there's a link here to make an appointment with someone from the Office of Student Writing and Learning. There's also help with formatting your paper in APA style, and we also have links to the library to get you started, and you can reach the library through the Academic Support Hub, which is found in that left-hand toolbar within our Canvas course. So click that Academic Support Hub and you can navigate to the library straight from there to do your research and find that peer-reviewed journal article that you'll be needing. As always, the rubric is here for you to review. It shows exactly which criteria your instructor will be grading. So this is going to be your instructor is going to be looking at your thesis, The narrative elements, meaning how well do you describe this event. The ethnographic elements, meaning, what did you say about the culture that you were a part of? How does it kind of go with your narrative in the body paragraphs? Your instructor will be looking at synthesis. How did you bring in that source material, and how did you support claims that you made? And sort of the analysis that you brought into it. How are you supporting it with research? The structure, just looking at, do you have clear introduction? Do you have a thesis? So the normal structural elements that are looked at in all of our essays. APA formatting and citation, and grammar. So you will want to make sure that since this does have citation, that you're reviewing those resources that were previously discussed about APA style citation. So you want to use in-text citations and have a references list, and on that references list, each source that you're using to support your writing is included. Okay. I hope this is helpful to you. I know that this is a new assignment for many of you, so please do review this assignment sheet very carefully and go through this video. And if you still have questions, please feel comfortable reaching out to your instructor for further clarification.